Indians, Penn Hills Indians football 1995. Welcome to the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Jay Clarkson, the Penn Hills Shopping Center, along with head coach Neil Gordon of Penn Hills Indians. I'm Bill Navari. And Neil, you have 1 week under your belt in 1995. Butler has always been a thorn in Penn Hills' side, but this year you were able to come away with a 14-0 victory.
Well, when I first started coaching, I always said my philosophy was to play those tough teams in the exhibition season and try to find out what you have as a team and what you don't have. As I get older now, I'd like to play the three easiest teams that I could, but unfortunately Butler wasn't that. Good team, an experienced team. We played them at their place, notoriously a low-scoring game, but we came out on top and we came out healthy, so that's important to us.
You mentioned about the three non-conference teams all being difficult teams. I think half the people think, or they respect you for playing those types of games. I think the other half thinks maybe you're kind of nuts for doing it, but it does tend to make a better football team.
Well, understand that I'm not that nuts. The only game that I really have a choice to pick is the first one. The WPIL schedules that second and third game for us. And they notoriously, as I said before, have put the North with the East conferences, which right now seem to be the two toughest conferences in the Quad A. So there's some big-time games there.
Last week you opened up against Butler. You won the toss, but you deferred the kickoff to the second half. You brought the defense on first, perhaps to set the tone. But when Butler started driving the ball and had possession for 9 minutes, you had to have a little bit of concern before that drive stalled.
Well, I was obviously very concerned. I think that if we're going to go somewhere this year, at least at this early stage anyway, our defense is much further ahead than our offense, and winning the toss gives you an advantage to get your defense on the field, which is where you want to be in my situation, and also be able to talk in that locker room and say, we're going out, we're getting that second half kickoff now, and we're going to try to pound it down their throats. So it didn't work out the way I wanted it. We lost the field position early, but the end result was good.
Perhaps the biggest play of the game came just before the end of the first half. Damian Germany, a big interception on the 6-yard line.
It was one of those Sunday morning touch plays. Rolls to the backside. Damian Germany, experienced that he is and aware of what was going on, followed the quarterback. The ball was thrown a little bit short, and Damian picked it off to avert a score right there, which was very important.
A lot of folks might have opened the paper Saturday morning and saw the stats section where Butler quarterback Troy Nunes threw 140 yards and wonder maybe your defensive secondary is a bit in question. But we saw a lot of trick plays Friday night, and those stats might have been a little padded.
Well, I think so. I would think that of those 140 yards, maybe of them came on 25, 30, maybe 35 yards were legitimate pass plays. Not that any play is not legitimate, but muddle huddles, center eligible, quarterback running over to talk to the coach and catching a pass up the sideline. There was a lot of trickery going on there, and we certainly weren't ready to prepare for that, or we hadn't even seen it in the first game of the season. On the contrary, I was pleased with the composure that our kids showed out there when faced with all that kind of stuff.
Turning the ball over onto the offense, we saw the Neil Gordon power running game. Dwayne Thompson had a nice game, a couple of nice touchdown runs. But we saw a lot of running off to the left side. Can you explain that?
Well, the left side is a stacked side. Mike White and Kevin McCoy man that left side for us, and BJ DiNatale at that split end side. And those three have been three of our better blockers all along, so it's no surprise that I did go to the left. Not that our right side with Ted Fitzpatrick and Demond and Ronnie Graham and Jeremy George is anything to laugh at, but I thought that we were having more success. Maybe Butler was a little bit weaker on that right side, and we're going to attack the weakness if we can find it.
Also, you had to be a little bit happy with the kicking game. Dave Zakia boomed some nice punts, some nice kickoffs, and just missed a 27-yard field goal.
Yeah, Dave Zakia is going to be a big-time advantage for us this year if he continues to kick the way he has. He's been doing it since the first day of camp. He gets great hang time on his punts. He handles the ball well. If he feels pressure, he gets it off quickly. He knows to coffin corner kicks. He's a skilled kicker, and we're certainly going to need him.
Now, if we can turn our attention to week 2, the North Hills Indians come into town. In 9 seasons, you're 6-2-1. As you told me earlier, both times North Hills beat Penn Hills is the years North Hills went to win the state championships. So obviously Jack McCurry has an incentive to beat you. But looking at this Friday night, at least in the past couple of years, I was looking through your playbook for Friday night, and in the middle of it you have a little line that says don't take anything for granted in football or in life. And I think that's sort of apropos for this week. It'll be 1 year ago to the day Friday night that we lost Jim Santa Maria and a bunch of others on the Flight 427 crash in Beaver County. But also last summer we lost a family member in the Penn Hills Indians, that being Coach Jim Type, and we're going to remember him Friday night.
Well, it's a very, very difficult thing for the entire Penn Hills football family to even fathom. You want to ask, how could something like this happen? Jimmy Type played for Penn Hills and was an overachiever. I mean, it started for 3 years and just did a fantastic job. When he came out of college, he came back to help the program, which he loved so much. And suffice to say that anything in the 5-6 years that Jimmy had been with our staff, he did everything that I asked him to do. He scouted, he worked with the younger kids, he coached at the 9th grade level, he would run the scout teams at practice, run the weight room. He just did everything, and he was just a great kid. And obviously this past June, he passed away. A very difficult time for my young men on the team and the staff as well. But for the young kids, a very difficult time because Jimmy was one of their friends. It wasn't an older generation type person that sometimes these kids understand a little bit that person is going to die. But Jimmy was 26 years old and in the prime of his life, new job, had the world right where he wanted it, and he passed away. This Friday night we will dedicate our 95 season to the memory of Jimmy Type and hopefully be able to help his parents and family through this tough time. So you will see on Friday night us wearing the black stickers on the back of our helmets with the initials JT. We will make a presentation to his mom and dad before the game, and we're going to dedicate the season to him. And just hope that we can do our little part for Jimmy because we all cared about him so much and we miss him.
Jimmy will be missed, but knowing Jimmy, he'd be saying, what's all this fuss about? Come on, we have a football game to win Friday night. And It's going to be a difficult one, especially with LeVar Arrington coming in from North Hills.
Well, LeVar Arrington is one of the top juniors in the country. There's no doubt about it. I've talked to coaches from Florida State, Michigan. Everybody has their eyes on LeVar Arrington, 6'4", 225 pounds, 4'5", 40. Not an ounce of fat on his body, a great mental attitude, a tough kid, quickness, great hands, whatever. You get a dictionary at all the definitions of a great athlete. LeVar Arrington certainly has them.
He rushed for 152 yards last week, but you can't focus just on Arrington because they also have a running back who rushed for 102 yards last week, that being Jason Wilkerson.
Jason Wilkerson poses a little bit of a problem to us, with LeVar Arrington back there and no other threat. I'm sure Coach Timko could adjust his defenses to do a little bit more keying on LeVar Arrington. Wilkerson now opens up a whole new ball game. LeVar Arrington cannot be keyed on. We need to be solid across the board. Wilkerson will burn us, maybe not as easily as LeVar, but he can certainly burn us. He has the potential to do that, so we need to keep our eyes on that young man also.
North Hills also has some strength in their line with Corey Altman, I believe is the name, and he's a big kid who can open up some holes as well for two very talented running backs.
He's 6'4", 295. He's a power lifter. He's a big, strong kid. He's played for 2 years. He's in the league with our Mike White and DeMond and those type of kids, and that'll be a nice little battle in there also. North Hills, for the most part, is smaller than we are across the front, but the kids, they're tough kids. They're playing at a school that has great football tradition. They are very, very well coached and extremely quick. If Gus Nauman, the North Hills coordinator, and Jack McCurry, the head coach, if they don't think they can play toe-to-toe with the likes of Mike and DeMond and Jared and so forth, then they will do some stunning and some twisting and so forth to give themselves the advantage again. So it'll be a typical North Hills, Penn Hills battle. Throw your cards on the table, see what happens.
The talented junior on North Hills Indians, LeVar Arrington, gets a lot of press coverage, a lot of ink. But you also have a very talented junior yourself, and of course, number 89, Ronnie Graham.
Well, I can't say enough about the two of them. They have been featured in all the media up until this point in time. If there are two better juniors in the United States in the game of football right now than these two, I want to know where they come from. LeVar Arrington can do it all. He plays linebacker on defense and will probably make 75% of the tackles. He does their punting. He's their punt return man, and he is a big-time threat as a running back in their offensive scheme. On our side of the coin, Ronnie Graham, although he's a junior, and we do have Jeremy and Damon Gibson and Mike White and Corey Connors and Dwayne and all those very skilled kids, Ronnie Graham is still the man. He's the man that's going to hurt somebody when he makes the tackle. He has the speed to chase a running back down. And Arrington and Ron Graham, there will certainly be a lot of scouts at this point.
I think Ronnie drew a few penalties, causing Butler to cause a couple of delay of games by his movement on the defensive line, shoveling back and forth, perhaps causing some confusion. And how much does that help the defense?
Last week they had 5 penalties for delay of the game or movement on the offense. And it was caused by Ronnie and Garrett Livingston. Coach Timko had them stepping in and stepping out and stepping into another gap. And I kind of got the idea the Butler's line was changing their calls to accommodate all these stunts that were coming, and then they eventually didn't come. So, that's difficult to do if you don't have 2 experienced linebackers, because at one point in time, they're going to get caught in a hole that they're not supposed to be in when the ball is snapped. But Ronnie and Garrett Livingston know the game pretty well. They've been together for a while, and they can afford to do that.
You also had to be happy with your team last week that you had no turnovers. I don't think any other teams in the WPIL opened the season without a turnover. But the big question was, everyone was asking who saw the game was, what does this mean?
Well, I know that cost me a 15-yard penalty. Again, Butler was very confused by the package we were putting forth to them, and the kicker just was totally confused, and he started going like this to the officials, and the officials never called it. And mild-mannered that I am, I just tried to change my face a little bit and holler.
Oh, sir, Mr. Official.
Yes, Mr. Official, that's what I called him every time.
Well, this is the coach, Neil Gordon, the leading penalty getter on the Penn Indians through week 1. And Neil, each week we talk with a couple of seniors, and this week you got a couple of good ones, Hoggie, Livingston, and I'm sure you're very happy to have this young man back, Jared Smith, your center.
Oh, Jared Smith last year was in a battle with Mike Johnson to be our starting center in camp, and Jared blew out his knee, reconstruction of his knee, and missed the entire season. He came back. I even think he was in uniform for the Gateway game last year. We weren't about to let him play, but we gave him the opportunity to dress. This year, we spent half the summer trying to figure out who was going to play center if Jared's knee couldn't hold up. It's a tough place to be with a bad knee in the middle there. People coming from either side. Jared gave us the first snap on the first day of camp, and he's been doing the same ever since. The knee's held up well. He is so talented. He's a great technician. In all my years of coaching at Penn Hills, the offensive line, his technique ranks with the best of them. His head's on the right side. He steps with the right side. He moves the right way. Our center controls the offensive line as far as calls are concerned. And we're just blessed, knock on wood, that young man stays an integral part of our program.
Well, best of luck Friday night. I'm sorry that I'm not going to be able to be there to miss it. I wish my sister got married 2 weeks ago instead of this weekend.
We need to talk a little bit about Garrett.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just through. You've just been going on about Jared there a little bit.
I need to go on about Jared, but this young man, Hoggie.
But Garrett, nobody knows about Garrett.
Garrett Livingston, sometimes he takes the back seat as far as the publicity is concerned. He's the other linebacker with Ronnie Graham, but he is as solid as can be. Garrett Livingston is our fullback, not just a blocking fullback. He runs the ball very well, and he is also our inside linebacker with Ronnie on defense. Garrett is just a great kid. He's as hard a worker as we have on the team. He's never hurt. He's always at practice. He's always there early. He never comes off the field and gives 100% the whole time. He's a football man. He's a coach's dream. And again, he's going to play a major role if we're about to go anywhere. So we got 2 great kids here and 2 outstanding football players and 2 great students. We're very proud of them.
I know it seemed last year, anytime Hoggie touched the football, he seemed to score a touchdown.
That's right.
Sure you would like to see a lot more of that again this year.
No, Garrett's a great kid. He deserves anything he can get.
Again, best of luck this week against the North Hills Indians.
Thank you very
much. We'll talk with you again next Wednesday night, and everyone is invited to come out here to Jay Clark's in the Penn Hills Shopping Center on Wednesday nights and any night, but on Wednesday night is when we tape the Coach's Corner for each Friday night game. And coming up next, we're going to talk with this week's Seniors of the Week, Garrett, Hoggie, Livingston, and Jared Smith right here on the Coach's Corner. Welcome back to the Coach's Corner 95, brought to you by Jay Clarkson, the Penn Shopping Center. We are welcome to join us Wednesday nights while we tape the show, and you're welcome here every night to enjoy some fine dining and some fine drinking here at Jay Clarkson, the Penn Shopping Center. Our seniors of the week, to my near left, Jared Smith, and to my far left, Hoggie Livingston, also known sometimes as Garrett Livingston. Jared, we're going to start off with you. You have to be glad to be back playing football this year. You sat out last year with the knee injury, and you're getting right back into the action. Before Hoggie gets to touch the ball, it all starts with you. You're the center.
Yep. I'm very glad to be back this year. I was very disappointed with what happened last year. I only made it out of the first week of camp. I went down to Massillon with the team, scrimmaged, had a really good scrimmage, and then first day back at two-a-days, had an accident with my knee, and I was out for the rest of the season. It was really disappointing, but it feels great to be back this year.
Looking forward to your senior season?
Very, very much so, yes.
Great. Hoggie, let's switch it over to you. And the question on everybody's mind, where does Hoggie come from?
Well, it was, I got it when I was younger from my father and my brother. I was eating a hoagie one day when I was back 14 years ago. And instead of calling it a hoagie, I asked for a Hoggie. So they kept calling me Hoggie ever since then.
Don't worry, that's what they call it in Philadelphia. You had sort of a disappointing year last year. Well, not disappointing in the fact that the team did go 7-3, but disappointing in the fact that you missed out on the playoffs. What are you looking forward to in 1995?
I'm looking to go all the way to Three Rivers. I think we can take it all the way down to Three Rivers.
You looking more team goals than perhaps the stats for Garrett Livingston?
Nah, not really. Not really. I just want to do my part on offense and defense. That's about it.
When your career is all said and done, what are you going to look back on in Penn Hills and remember most?
When I was in ninth grade, playing scout team all the time, 9th and 10th grade. And I used to play quarterback on the 9th grade team. That's way back then. It's the thing I'm going to look back on.
Even if you win a championship this year, that's what you're going to remember, huh?
Yeah.
How about you, Jared?
I'd have to say, remembering the very first day of Hell Week I ever had back in 10th grade. Probably sticks out the most, but even more than that, walking out on the field last Friday night as a captain, just my first year back, it just felt so good. And I hope to have the same feeling every week, every Friday night.
Yeah, what are you looking forward to after you graduate?
After I graduate, at the present, I've been looking at a few different Ivy League schools, Dartmouth, Harvard, and a few local schools, Allegheny and Washington, Jefferson have been looking kind of closely. But I'd like to play football and major in chemistry or biology, and hopefully go on to medical school. But we'll see where that goes.
Okay, Hoggie, how do you match that?
Well, I've been looking at a couple schools in Ohio and looking at Maryland. And I've been getting a lot of letters from Akron, That's basically, I like that. I would like to go there if I had a chance to.
To Maryland?
No, Akron.
Oh, Akron. Okay.
Yeah. They've been writing me a lot, so.
Well, if you go down to Maryland, you'll join Derek Johnson.
Yeah. He wants me to come down. He was telling me he wanted me to come down there with him. So I have somebody down there who'll know.
If you guys can prediction for the Indians this year, what are we looking at, Jared?
I'd have to say that we're looking at a really strong season. Definitely into the first round, the playoffs, and hopefully from there on to Three Rivers. I'd like to be wearing a WPL championship ring this year, and I think we can do it.
That's something you get to keep forever. How about you, Hoggie?
I feel the same way Jared is. I think we can go the first round, take it all the way down to Three Rivers.
He is making the playoffs. A lot of teams stand in your way, particularly Woodland Hills. Always seems to give you guys a battle every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that's a few weeks away.
Yeah, it is.
Well, stay healthy. Hopefully this team will stay healthy because injuries hurt the team a lot last year.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll be able to go play on the turf at Three River Stadium.
Yep.
Seniors of the week to my far left, Garrett, Hoggie, Livingston. You see him in the backfield. Before he gets a touch of football, this young man here to my near left, Jared Smith. He's the one that gets it all started. He's the center, and you'll see them all season long. At least 9 more weeks here on Penn Indian Football. For head coach Neil Gordon and producer Kevin Burke, I'm Bill Navari. Coming up, the Penn Hills Indians and the North Hills Indians.